This evening, a chilling mystery unfolds in the American Southwest. An 84-year-old woman vanishes from her quiet home in the dead of night. Her daughter, a familiar face on national television, makes an emotional public appeal for her safe return. 2 weeks later, the search intensifies, with new forensic clues emerging and questions mounting about who might be responsible. Good evening. I'm Anna William reporting for Update Point. Tonight, we examine a series of developing stories that are capturing attention across the country and beyond. From a family's desperate wait in Arizona to fresh economic data challenging long-held claims about trade policy and the excitement building at the Winter Games in Milan Cortina, these events remind us how quickly circumstances can shift in our interconnected world. Before we start, wherever you're watching or listening from, drop a comment, hit like, and subscribe to the channel. Today, we'll continue this conversation in the comments and respond to your questions. We begin with the ongoing investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. As the search for 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie reaches day 16 on February 16, 2026, her daughter Savannah Guthrie released a fresh video appeal on February 15th, directly addressing the person or people responsible and stating that it is never too late to do the right thing. The FBI continues analyzing DNA recovered from a black glove discovered roughly 2 miles from the home, which authorities say appears to match the gloves worn by the masked suspect captured on doorbell camera footage tampering with the device on the night of the abduction. Investigators increasingly describe the incident as a burglary that escalated into a kidnapping rather than a premeditated abduction, with no named suspect yet identified, more than 32,000 tips received, and the $100,000 reward remaining active for credible information leading to her safe return. Authorities emphasize they are operating on the belief that Nancy Guthrie is still alive, and community support continues through vigils and shared information requests for additional home camera footage. We begin with the ongoing investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of NBC News anchor Savannah Guthrie. On the evening of January 31, 2026, Nancy Guthrie was last seen at her residence in the Catalina Foothills area near Tucson, Arizona. Family members had dropped her off after dinner, and everything appeared routine. But by the next morning, February 1st, she failed to appear at her regular church service, prompting relatives to raise the alarm. Authorities from the Pima County Sheriff's Department quickly determined that this was no ordinary missing person case. Evidence pointed to an abduction. Nancy Guthrie had been taken against her will from her own home in the early hours of February 1st. Investigators reviewed footage from a doorbell camera installed at the front entrance. The video captured a masked individual approaching the property under cover of darkness, appearing to tamper with the device itself before entering the home. The suspect's actions suggested premeditation, a calculated effort to disable any immediate alerts. No forced entry was immediately apparent, raising questions about whether the person had prior knowledge of the residence or exploited an unlocked entry point. The footage, though grainy in low light, provided key details. The individual was estimated to be between 5 feet 9 inches and 5 feet 10 inches tall, with an average build. He carried what appeared to be an Ozark Trail hiker backpack, a common item that has since become part of the public appeal for information. As days turned into weeks, the case drew national attention, in large part because of Savannah Guthrie's prominence as co-anchor of The Today Show. She has maintained a measured but heartfelt public presence, balancing her professional responsibilities with the personal anguish of a family in crisis. On February 15th, marking exactly 2 weeks since her mother's disappearance, Savannah released a new video message shared across social media platforms. In calm yet resolute tones, she addressed whoever might be holding her mother directly. She expressed that the family still holds on to hope, that they continue to believe in a positive outcome, and emphasized that the passage of time does not diminish the possibility of resolution. "It is never too late to do the right thing," she stated, a plea rooted in both emotion and reason, urging the individual, or anyone with knowledge, to come forward and allow Nancy to return home safely. Law enforcement efforts have been extensive and multifaceted. The FBI joined the investigation early on, classifying it as a kidnapping and mobilizing resources accordingly. A reward initially set at $50,000 was doubled to $100,000 for information leading to Nancy's recovery. Searches have covered the surrounding desert terrain, neighborhoods, and potential routes the suspect might have taken. Tips from the public have poured in, each one evaluated carefully by teams of detectives and analysts. One significant development came with the discovery of a glove approximately 2 miles from the home. The item caught investigators' attention because it appeared to match the type worn by the figure in the doorbell footage. Forensic examination revealed DNA on the glove that does not belong to Nancy Guthrie or immediate family members. Testing continues to determine if it links to the suspect, potentially providing a breakthrough in identification. Authorities have stressed that while this clue is promising, it is part of a broader puzzle that includes witness statements, cell phone data analysis, vehicle tracking, and community canvassing. Sources close to the investigation have suggested the abduction may have originated as an intended burglary that escalated unexpectedly. The suspect's tampering with the camera could indicate an attempt to cover tracks during what began as a property crime. This theory aligns with patterns seen in other cases where opportunistic theft turns into something far more serious when a resident is present. No confirmed ransom demands have been verified by law enforcement, though unconfirmed reports of notes sent to media outlets have circulated online, adding to public speculation. Officials have cautioned against misinformation, reminding everyone that only verified details from authorities should guide understanding. The emotional toll on the family is evident. Nancy Guthrie, a mother of 3, has lived independently in her Tucson-area home for years. She is described by those who know her as active in her church community, kind-hearted, and resilient. Her sudden absence has left a void felt not only by her children, including Savannah and her siblings, but by friends and neighbors who have rallied in support. Vigils and prayer gatherings have taken place locally, with participants holding signs and sharing memories in hopes of generating leads. Broader implications of the case extend to discussions about home security in suburban areas, the vulnerabilities of older residents living alone, and the role of technology like smart doorbells in modern investigations. While these devices can provide crucial evidence, they also highlight privacy concerns and the need for robust cybersecurity to prevent tampering. The FBI's release of suspect images and descriptions has sparked widespread sharing on social media, demonstrating both the power and the pitfalls of crowdsourced assistance in active cases. As the search enters its 3rd week, authorities remain committed. The Pima County Sheriff has publicly stated that resources will not be withdrawn, that the investigation will persist for as long as necessary, whether weeks, months, or longer. Every tip is treated seriously, every lead pursued thoroughly. For now, the focus stays on bringing Nancy Guthrie home safely and holding accountable those responsible. Now we talk about Trump tariffs' impact. A February 2026 report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, based on import data through November 2025, shows that U.S. companies and consumers absorbed nearly 90% of the costs from the import tariffs imposed that year, starting at around 94% in the first 8 months and settling near 86% by November. This directly challenges earlier claims that foreign exporters or countries would primarily pay the duties. Average tariff rates rose to about 13% from 2.6% at the year's start, affecting goods from key partners like China, Mexico, Canada, and the EU. The added burden equated to roughly $1,000 per household in 2025, with estimates suggesting up to $1,300 in 2026 if policies remain unchanged, fueling renewed discussions on inflation, supply chain adjustments, and the real domestic impact of trade measures. The report reinforces findings from other analyses, including those by the Tax Foundation and Congressional Budget Office, highlighting ongoing debates in Washington over potential modifications or expansions. We turn next to economic policy and a report that has reignited debate over former President Donald Trump's tariff measures implemented during 2025. A detailed analysis from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, drawing on trade data through late 2025, concludes that American companies and consumers shouldered the vast majority of the costs associated with these import taxes. Specifically, Nearly 90% of the economic burden fell domestically, with figures showing 94% pass-through in the first 8 months of the year, gradually easing to around 86% by November. This finding runs counter to repeated assertions that foreign nations or exporters would absorb the levies, protecting U.S. interests without domestic impact. Instead, the data indicates that tariffs functioned much like a tax on imports, paid ultimately by those purchasing or using the goods in the United States. Average tariff rates climbed sharply to about 13% from roughly 2.6% at the start of 2025, affecting products from major trading partners including China, Mexico, Canada, and the European Union. Economists have long explained this mechanism. When additional duties are imposed at the border, importers face higher costs. Those costs are frequently passed along the supply chain through increased prices for wholesalers, retailers, and finally, consumers. In some cases, businesses absorb portions to remain competitive, squeezing profit margins or prompting shifts in sourcing. The New York Fed's research, based on U.S. Census Bureau and foreign trade statistics, reinforces earlier studies by organizations such as the Tax Foundation and the Congressional Budget Office. For the average American household, the impact translated to an estimated $1,000 in added expenses during 2025, with projections suggesting a rise to $1,300 in 2026 if similar policies persist without adjustment. These figures account for higher prices on everyday items, from electronics and apparel to automotive parts and household goods, rippling through inflation metrics and family budgets. Critics argue this undercuts claims of tariffs as a tool for revenue generation without pain at home, while supporters point to strategic benefits in trade negotiations and domestic manufacturing incentives. The report arrives amid ongoing tensions in global commerce. Discussions in Washington continue over potential modifications, exemptions, or expansions. Some lawmakers have expressed concerns about retaliatory measures from trading partners, which could further affect exports like agriculture and technology. Businesses, particularly in import-reliant sectors, have voiced frustration over uncertainty, planning supply chains accordingly. This development prompts deeper reflection on trade policy's real-world effects. Tariffs aim to address imbalances, protect industries, and encourage reshoring. Yet evidence consistently shows that consumers often pay the price through elevated costs, reduced choices, or slower economic adjustments. As debates intensify, the conversation highlights the complex balance between protectionism and open markets in an era of globalization. The United States men's hockey team completed an undefeated preliminary round with a decisive 5-1 victory over Germany on February 15th, securing a strong position heading into the quarterfinals and generating national excitement during the Milano-Cortina games. Standout team play and goaltending highlighted the performance. Meanwhile, figure skater Deanna Stellato-Dudek, at age 42, made her long-awaited Olympic debut in pairs skating alongside partner Maxime Deschamps on February 15th, following a remarkable comeback after a 16-year retirement and recent recovery from a head injury sustained in late January training. Her story of persistence, capped by a 2024 World Championship, continues to inspire, even as the pair placed 14th after the short program due to a late fall, setting up a push in the free skate on February 16th. Other trending elements include monobob events and overall Olympic momentum building across disciplines, with the Games showcasing resilience and human achievement. Shifting to international sports, the 2026 Winter Olympics in Milan Cortina continue to deliver moments of national pride and athletic excellence. The United States men's hockey team strengthened its position with a convincing 5-1 victory over Germany, capping an undefeated group stage performance. The win showcased strong team coordination, sharp goaltending, and effective offensive pressure, boosting morale as the tournament advances toward playoff rounds. Standout plays and contributions from key players have drawn praise, reflecting the depth of American talent on the ice. The result positions the U.S. squad favorably for medal contention, with fans tracking every shift and score. Interest extends beyond hockey. Trending inquiries include figure skater Deanna Stellato-Dudek, whose remarkable career resurgence at age 42 has inspired audiences worldwide. After a 17-year hiatus from competitive skating, she returned with determination, overcoming challenges including a recent head injury during training. Her story, of persistence, defying age expectations, and representing resilience, resonates deeply, especially among those who see parallels in their own pursuits. Other events generating buzz include monobob, the single-athlete bobsled discipline that combines speed, skill, and individual focus. Competitors navigate icy tracks at high velocity, pushing physical limits in pursuit of fractions of a second. The sport's inclusion highlights the game's evolution, broadening appeal to new generations. Overall, the Olympics foster unity and admiration for human achievement. Amid global headlines, these competitions offer a reminder of shared aspirations and the rewards of dedication. These stories reflect a world in motion: tragedy and hope, policy and performance, mystery and resolution. We will keep monitoring developments and bring you updates as they emerge. Thank you for joining us on Update Point. Good night.